Good morning, Linda.
Good morning, Rick. How are you this morning?
Oh, just perky. Linda and I are starting off this morning on a hilltop above Elko, Nevada. I almost said Echo, Nevada. We spent the night here last night, and that's where this video begins. One thing we're going to be looking for today is new tires. I know these tires have a lot of life left in them, but when you only got 2 tires instead of 4, you want to make sure you got the very best. There's a couple places to get tires in Elko, so I'm going to check those out today. And it's time to give this outfit a bath too, man. We've had nothing but dirt roads for the last several days. It needs cleaned up pretty bad. Then pick up some groceries and back on the road. Linda and I just turned south from Highway 80 at Carlin, Nevada, onto Highway 278, and we've been driving for, well, I don't know, 20 miles or so, and we turned off onto this BLM road. We don't know where it goes. We're hoping it goes up into higher elevations because it's over 90 degrees here, and we want to camp somewhere cooler. It's what we always do, though. We turn down roads. We don't know where they go. Sometimes we have to come back out again, and sometimes we find a beautiful place to camp. So let's see where this road takes us. Well, the road is pretty heavy washboard, which means that it gets a lot of traffic of one kind or another up this way. But it is climbing. Maybe we'll find a cool place to camp. Linda just mentioned that because of the amount of traffic on the road, there could be a mine up here. That's very possible. Well, we're up above 6,000 feet now. Temperature's cooled off about 5 or 6 degrees. And this does go up to a mine of some kind because we saw a sign on the road that says caution, heavy equipment on roadway. So that must be it. Portions of this road have been pretty steep. I've been down in first gear and 4-wheel drive. Oh, trees coming up. This is really steep. There's been plenty of cattle along the road. Anytime you got cattle, you're going to have flies. And man, we've been putting up with a lot of flies on this trip. We pulled off into what looks like a camping area, but it isn't. It's just a place for salt blocks for the cattle where they can gather and lick salt. So we decided to make lunch. About 6,500 feet here, 6,600. And the air is so dry that when you make a sandwich, within about a minute, it tastes like you're eating a toasted sandwich. Okay, here's the plan. We just had lunch. Now we're going to continue on. We've decided to head further on in. Right here where we got off, the road splits, and all the heavy equipment is going up that way to whatever. But the main road continues on through. You can see it down in there. And it actually goes over the mountain and down into the valley on the other side. We're going to continue on up into here and see if we can find a place up in this saddle or somewhere to camp for the night. Well, we've had a necessary change of plans. We drove clear up to the top, and there are no real nice places to camp. And we couldn't find a place with any trees. No pinyon pines or anything. You need a little shade just to cool the ground underneath and provide a place where you can set up some chairs. So we're heading back down, but it was fun poking around up here. Yeah. We did find some flakes. We found a small Indian knife. I didn't keep them. But they're just around. You find them up here, which means that the Native Americans love this area. There's a spring that runs down just maybe 150 yards off my left side and runs all the way down through this canyon. So there's plenty of water for the cattle, which means there was plenty of water for the Native Americans too. Well, in one way that was a bust because we didn't find anywhere to camp. But that's kind of what we do in Nevada, is chase out these roads and just to see what's up at the other end. And we never did make it to the end of this one, but then we'll be heading down towards Eureka or stopping somewhere along the way to camp. We'll just have to play it by ear.
We had a nice lunch in there.
We did, with toasted sandwiches.
Yes.
How do you do that anyway? Because we don't even have a toaster.
A chef never gives out their secrets.
I see. Well, Highway 278 here heading south towards Eureka is pretty slow, pretty desolate, and to save gas, I'm just creeping along at 45 miles an hour because I happen to know that my mileage goes from 12 to 16 when I do that, miles per gallon, just from dropping down from 60 down to 45. And once in a while I get somebody behind me and I just pull over, but that's only been like once on this stretch. You know, it really doesn't matter whether Linda and I find a camping place or, you know, when we're poking around during the day, sometimes you see a place, you go, oh, let's just stay here. And sometimes you don't, so you continue on. But it doesn't matter because we never have a destination. The road is the destination. Well, this is where we ended up. It was about the third or fourth road that we drove up looking for a nice place to camp. Some of them didn't work out so good. In fact, they all didn't until we got to this one. And Linda's inside setting things up. We'll probably stay here for a couple of days. We've got shade to park our chairs under. We've got clearing to the north for the Starlink. We've got clearing to the south for our solar panels. Takes both nowadays, but yeah, this place will work. We're down just north of Eureka, just off 278, and like I mentioned, we took I think 3 or 4 roads back in, and each time we had to turn around and come back out. We were just trying to get up into the pinyon pine forest right here where we are. We just love it in the pinyon pine forest. It's just pleasant. This little fella is a big fella. He's probably 3 inches long from tip to stern, from bow to stern, maybe 4 inches. I think that's a Mormon cricket. He's huge. Kind of ugly too. Sorry fella, nothing personal. Here's my Starlink antenna. There's a lot of old tin cans laying around here showing me that people have been camping in this spot for a long time. And this road continues on up. I'm going to walk that tomorrow. Well, this is where we're starting out this morning. Peaceful, quiet. We're the only ones back in here. We drove up so many roads yesterday. We'd go several miles, maybe even 10 miles in, and then not really find what we were looking for, and we'd turn around and head back out. On one excursion, we drove right through a cattle pen full of cattle. It was all BLM land. You're allowed to be in there, but you know, and then the road just petered out after that. So we had to turn around and go back out. Look how beautiful this place is. And we're up pretty high, so it won't be unbearably hot. It's still going to hit 80 or 85. I know that, but well, Linda and I are going for a bit of a walk. We're going to climb up to that saddle way up at the top of this road up here. But we're going to stick to the trees, kind of poke along where we got some shade. It's hot, but we'll be fine. We got plenty of water. And in case you haven't followed this channel before, we always bring our Garmin inReach. In case anything happens, we can always get a hold of somebody. Well, we just made it to the top of this little plateau here, and we're going to look for signs of maybe a flake trail Flake trail being what, as the Native Americans would travel, they would leave a trail of flakes because they were usually making a preform or something to make into a tool later that evening or to trade or something. But it's just fun for us to look for that. Signs of those that have been here before us. There's a well-worn game trail coming through here. It was so well-worn that at first I thought it was a cattle trail because they tend to take the same path every time. But this one's got elk tracks on it. And this is bow hunting season for elk in Nevada. But there's nobody up here, just Linda and I. And that's something else about the road we came in on. This is such a beautiful area, but that campsite that we found is the only one on that road. You can tell that a bulldozer clears the road once in a while, and a bulldozer makes those berms on either side, and that makes it so that people can't drive off the road and make a campsite. You can't get over the berm. So probably hard to camp up in this particular area. A strange phenomena that Linda and I always see in the woods is the power of magnification. How the woods take something normal size and make it look gigantic. Like a regular sized beer can from 50 feet away looks like the large quart-sized beer can or the big beer can. And when you get up to it, it's just a regular size one. Or like a Campbell's soup size can from a distance away, it looks huge, like one of the big cans. I don't know what it is, but you can see a rock in the distance and you'll think it's 6 feet high, and you'll get up to it and it'll be 3 feet high. Has anybody else noticed that? And if you have, would you leave a comment down below and tell me what you think about that? Because I've noticed that all my life. What do you got there, Linda?
I don't know, it's a big hole in the ground that I almost walked into.
Well, you could just about crawl down in that one.
The tracks are really old because they're hard.
That's like a coyote den. It's big. Another thing this could be is where a coyote digs something out, like he's got prey in a burrow and he digs the burrow out. That could be too. Linda, I got a flake. We've been searching and searching and searching. Here's a little flake of chert or something. You know, just beautiful, smooth stone. But this is the first. Well, I did find a tool here. This is sharpened all around the edges. Nice, smooth chert of some kind. So that was the pocket knife of long ago for cutting things like that. Just noticed an elk track here. You can see it. Put my hand down there so you can see the size. It's probably a cow elk. I've just been walking up this ravine and exploring as I walk along, and I've been picking up lots of tool making flakes. Seeing they kind of glisten in the sun here a little bit. They're really hard to find because they're the same color as the ground. And of course, when they're laying on the ground, they're still dusty and half buried, but yeah, it just shows that this is probably a travel route or something, you know, going up through here. Pretty cool. See if I toss them back down here. They kind of disappear, especially if they're dusty again there. Get up to the top here and check out the view. Oh yeah. Here's one in situ. Here's flake next to it. And then There's just a bunch of them right here in this little spot. Here, here, over here. Down here's a bigger piece. There's a whole bunch right here. Oh, look at the beautiful coral color on these. Kind of a reddish tinge. Oh, here's a bigger hunk here. See all the working on this side from being chipped out? Then this side's not worked at all. Just knocked off a bigger piece as they were shaping it. Refuse of the time. As the men walked along, they would take this hunk of rock and they would knock all the rough stuff off it until they had a nice piece. While the women carried the load, I'm sure. But the men kept their hands free, evidently, because this is a known thing. There are routs of flakes. So imagine this. The man keeps his hands free. As he's walking, he's making these, roughing out these chunks of rock, valuable rock for them. And also his hands were free for hunting and also for self-defense. It was important, I'm sure. It's pretty rare to find an entire arrowhead. Of all the hunting that Linda and I have done, I think we've got maybe a half a dozen. Because think about it, the reason you find them is because they were fired from a bow at an animal. It either missed the animal and went into the bushes, or it went through the animal and into the bushes, and usually it breaks on impact. And then over thousands of years, of course, the wood shaft rots off and the sinew rots off and the feathers go away. And Linda's whistling for me. And what you find is just the remaining piece of stone. Look at this ant mound here. It is huge. So this is one thing in the forest that is big. Yeah. Yeah, let's get away from this. Oh no, what is that one? No, these are animals that dug these big holes.
Do you remember the movie Tremors?
How could I forget it? So check this out. Just a big circular burn spot in the middle of the wash here, middle of the clearing. Most likely from a lightning strike on a big tree that burned it down right there in that spot. Or an alien craft landed there like Linda suggested. And in the middle is a little area that is kind of dug out, and I'm thinking this is where the ladder came down. If you follow this station, you know I'm kidding. Or not.
I have a big old can.
Is it a Campbell's soup can, or is it actually a big can? It's actually a big can.
Use it as a coffee pot. No, I don't know.
Oh yeah, look.
It's still got the old...
Yeah, where they tin or maybe lead. This is an old can. Wait till I show them the bottom. And they did have some kind of a strainer on here. They punched holes.
Mm-hmm. And they made a spout.
Yeah, let me show them the bottom. See how the bottom's constructed there?
Doggone it, now I got resin on me.
That's different.
So, according to the landmarks I was using, that hill and the hill we're standing on puts our camp over there. Yeah, over there.
And you would be right. That's why it's important to get landmarks before you leave camp, isn't it? Which you did. Very good, Linda. Well, this is the top where the road ends. And what a view! But I thought for sure there'd be a campsite up here because that's usually where roads go. I mean, not usually, but I kind of expected there'd be a campsite up here because there's one down at the other end. But no, there's not. There's nothing up here. And that's another thing. There's not a lot of campsites in this area. You've got to kind of make one for yourself, if at all possible, if you can get off the road. Well, it feels really, really good to be out on the road again. And we're just doing local tours around our own state just to keep from going insane, because Linda and I always need to get out. And then, like I mentioned in a previous video, we thank you guys for your contributions to this channel, because that's what gave us the gas money for this trip. And speaking of gas, today I learned that one of our viewers commented that back where he's at, that gas was $3.20 a gallon. Here in Nevada, the cheapest you can find it, we're up here in central Nevada, is $4.73, and my daughter tells me it's just gone down to $4.09 at home. There's a big difference between $3.20 and $4.09. So it'd be nice if things would get back to normal so that all of us could be free to travel again. Hey guys, thanks for coming along. It's kind of hot, and Linda and I are heading back to camp for something cool to drink and for lunch.
Yeah, it's nice to be out though, out hiking and camping, because you never know what you're going to find. History is right there at your feet.
It is. That's the neat thing about the Southwest, is things are just laying out in the open, not covered up with humus like they are at home. Hey you guys, thanks for coming along, and we'll see you around.